What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Trebl's Champions League Winners and Losers, where we pick our winners and losers from this week's round of Champions League action. My name is Louie.
I'm Allan.
And before we get started with this week's episode, make sure that you're leaving your winners and losers in the comments below so we can feature you in our next episode. So our first winner of this week's action is hat tricks. We had Paulo Dybala scoring a hat trick against Young Boys. We had Edin Dzeko scoring a hat trick against Victoria Pilsen, and we also had Neymar absolutely destroying Red Star Belgrade with his hat trick yesterday. Of course, take it with a grain of salt because it was against all of these guys scored against, I guess, weaker opposition, but it is Europe, so we shouldn't discount them that way. But Paulo Dybala, in a game that Cristiano Ronaldo did not feature in, he came in and stepped in and said, hey, we're not just Cristiano Ronaldo. We're not a one-man team. And just the way that he went about his hat trick really kind of cemented it. He had a beautiful volley, and he was just all over the pitch. He probably could have scored like 5 or 6, in my opinion. He hit the post a couple times. But yeah, it was a phenomenal performance from him.
Yeah, Dybala is a guy who a lot of people are saying is kind of getting screwed over a little bit by the recent Ronaldo transfer. He's a superstar. I mean, I think everyone in the world would agree that he's a fantastic talent, and with Ronaldo there, it's kind of taking his limelight a little bit, but he came in this game and showed people, hey, I'm still I still have an important role for Juventus, and yeah.
Yeah, they are currently the team that scares me the most in all of Europe. Like, that lineup of Paulo Dybala, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Douglas Costa on that front three, like, I don't know if there's a better attacking three in all of world football. And that includes the attacking three for the next hat-trick scorer, Neymar. And you tell me what you think about him, because, my God.
Right, I mean, I'm a big Neymar fan. I'll say it every episode that he does something great. You are also a big Neymar fan, as evident by the shirt. But, I mean, in this game, we saw the quality. Again, it was a weaker opposition, but you see that when he's on form, and we called him a loser last episode. When he's on form, he is almost unstoppable, one of the most unstoppable players in all of world football. He showed it off this game with 2 free kick goals, another spectacular kind of run he made for his second goal. And yeah, man, it's just good to see him kind of playing with that freedom, something that he wasn't really doing in that Liverpool game last time.
And not only for the 2 free kicks, because one of those free kicks, by the way, he couldn't have gotten it more perfect into that top corner. It was just like, you could probably fit like a piece of paper in between where the ball went in and the post. And just from his general like passing ability too, the pass that he made for Kylian Mbappe's goal was exquisite. He kind of passed this like looping pass over the top, and then I forget who it was, but they latched onto him and just passed it simply to Mbappe to just send it through. And it's just like, man, he just breaks down defenses by himself. And when he's on one, he's on one. And for him, it's not a battle of, is he better than other people? It's as a matter of, is he going to wake up and be ready for the game? Because if he is, no one can stop him.
Yeah, and this hat-trick for Neymar was actually especially important because he actually tied the all-time Brazilian record, which is set by Kaká, with 30 goals in Champions League. So Not only was it a hat-trick important in its own, but it kind of set the bar high, and he's definitely going to be breaking that record, especially at such a young age. He's going to be scoring handfuls more goals and really setting the bar high.
Yeah, I mean, to be compared to Kaká in any sense of the word, like in any sense, it should already be an honor. So, hats off to Neymar.
Yeah, for sure.
And lastly, we had Edin Dzeko scoring a hat trick against Victoria Pilsen. I don't really know much about the Czech club, but Roma kind of ran riot, scored 5 on them, and they just basically destroyed him. It's just good to see Edin Dzeko scoring like that. I mean, he really is one of the top strikers in Europe. So
yeah, I often think he's pretty overlooked. A guy who I actually think he's really good aerially, but he can finish with his feet as well, and he's a strong forward, and yeah, really good for him. A loser for this week is Samir Handanovic, the Inter Milan goalkeeper. He came out of the box on a PSV counterattack and grabbed the ball with his hand. Not grabbed, he slightly tapped the ball with his hand, but he was probably 10 yards out of his own box. Such a foolish play. You got to have awareness as a keeper. You cannot think that you can just grab the ball anywhere. It's kind of foolish. It's like almost like a little kid playing soccer for the first time ever. He comes out, grabs the ball off his hand, gets a yellow card. He honestly probably should have got a red for just how stupid it was. It was a really funny play for Inter. They almost got scored on in the resulting free kick. And yeah, it's just like one of those funny football moments.
So you're saying he Handanovic it?
2 episodes in a row now we have really, really, really corny jokes. Leave us that like or subscribe if you enjoy.
I couldn't help myself. I heard it and I was like, I have to say this out loud or else it's going to bother me all day. Oh my gosh.
Luckily for Inter, they still ended up winning the game, a game that was kind of important for them. They got all 3 points in a really good result for them.
Yeah, which leaves them tied with Barcelona at the top of the group, 6 points each. And it leaves Tottenham at the bottom of this group with 0 points. And that, well, like we said last week, Tottenham, big losers last week when they didn't beat Inter. But it leaves Tottenham in a very interesting position. But at least Inter was able to pull out the win here.
Absolutely.
So, good for them. And then this week's next 2 big losers, I kind of put them together in Manchester United and Bayern Munich. So, despite the fact that neither of these clubs actually lost this week, both clubs are still losers. Both clubs are in a very weird run of form. Manchester United has not won in 4 games, and Bayern Munich has not won in 3 games. And for Bayern, they are adjusting to a new coach, Niko Kovac, who at the beginning of the season people were excited about, but as the season has kind of progressed, people have been kind of making comments about how this Bayern team is over-relying on their veteran players, on their older players. To give you an idea, you always think like, oh, maybe this year Arjen Robben's going to decline. But every single year Arjen Robben's playing, right? And he scored yesterday, which was great. But it seems that this Bayern team just keeps getting older, and they keep thinking that it's okay, we'll just keep playing the best we can. And some people even criticizing Niko Kovac's like stale tactics. So clearly they're not in the best run of form. It actually has seen Borussia Dortmund take the top spot in the Bundesliga, which is something that people really were shocked by because this Bayern team has had a stranglehold in Germany for years. And then on the flip side over Manchester United, they're winless in 4 games, like I said, and you have supporters across the world calling for Jose Mourinho's head. People have been criticizing his tactical selection, his pissing contest with Pogba, the 2 of them going at it in the media, at training, all of this. And these are 2 of the world's biggest clubs. You have support across the world, and honestly, both of these clubs should have had wins this week because they were both playing at home in front of the best supporters in all of Europe, yet neither of these teams could get a win. So both of them get big fat L's.
Yeah, as a Manchester United fan, been going through this kind of struggle over the last month or so. It's obviously not great football. Mourinho, his mental game has been off, and it seems like the team is really kind of breaking apart. Obviously, I'd like to see that change, but I'm not so sure that it will be.
Yeah, and who knows what will happen there. I mean, some people are calling to replace him with Zidane, and maybe if they replace him early enough, they can save the season. So who knows what will happen there. As for Niko Kovac, he might be able to turn it around. I mean, the squad at his disposal, anybody can almost coach in a sense. But then again, they've also had phenomenal coaches over the past several years, and they've been able to play for those coaches. So if they don't play for Niko Kovac, they might not be able to win. So it's really up to him, because in terms of talent, both of these clubs have so much talent on the field. It's really down to these managers about how can they get their clubs performing again. So we'll see how it goes from there.
So we're going to keep it German for this next winner, Weston McKennie, who scored his first ever goal for Schalke in a Champions League match that they needed to win to get all 3 points versus a Lokomotiv side that actually for the majority of the game I thought should have had 2 to 3 goals. So he was able to win them the game in the 88th minute, a clutch goal for Schalke as your first ever goal. A really kind of special moment for him.
Yeah, and he's kind of part of this generation right now in the United States men's national team setup that is getting a lot of hype. There, him, Christian Pulisic, you have Josh Sargent, who's also playing in Germany as well. But people have been talking about him a little bit, and they've been really kind of hyping him up, and it's great to see him do this, like come out on the biggest stage. Like I can't imagine what it's like. I think he's only 19 years old. You're 19 years old. Imagine going out on the biggest stage and performing like that. I mean, I don't know what I was doing at 19, but it definitely was not this. And so props to Weston McKennie, man. You are killing it in Germany. Keep killing it.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season kind of progresses, but especially for the U.S. men's national team, he's shown a lot of promise, and Schalke, we know that they really like him there. So I think he's a promising young star for Schalke, but also for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah. But keeping it along with Russian connections here, our next massive, massive, massive winner is CSKA Moscow. They pull out a 1-0 win over Real Madrid. And just let that sink in for a second. Real Madrid, champions of Europe 3 times in a row, 4 times in the last 5 years. They lost to CSKA Moscow. And they were, of course, without Gareth Bale. But then, for whatever reason, Julian Lopetegui decides to leave the best player in the world on the bench to start the game. So in other words, what he was saying was, we're going to coast by this game. We're just going to roll up into Moscow and just win and leave. And that was it. Unfortunately for them, CSKA had other plans. CSKA were pressuring them left and right. They were overall playing really, really well. And that doesn't even include, of course, how they scored. Tony Cruz had a terrible back pass to the goalkeeper. He tried to volley it in the air to get it back to Keylor Navas. And then Vlasic came and latched onto it and just buried it past Keylor Navas. And then from then on, you would think that they would just sit back and park the bus, but they were going after it. They were pressuring Real Madrid when they could. And Real Madrid were just sloppy in offense. They hit the post a million times, and they just couldn't seem to get it together.
Yeah, what a lot of people seem to forget is that CSKA Moscow is kind of a Russian staple in the Champions League. They're always there. And not only that, they're going away and playing at CSKA Moscow is one of the most frightening places to play in Europe. Their fans are always behind them. Their fans are always there making noise. Russia is a cold, scary place. A lot of people don't like going to play there. They always put up a fight. I know, especially watching them play against the Manchester United, it's always a scary place to go because their players are really always up for the big games.
Oh yeah, especially when you have the European champions coming into town. You're going to show them how you can play. So while I don't think this game will have a grand impact on the grand scheme of things, it will make the group interesting. Because when this group was announced, everyone thought, okay, Real Madrid and Roma are just going to coast through. But as we've seen, CSKA can make this interesting, and if they can sneak another win or two, they might be able to advance over either Roma or even Real Madrid. I mean, I doubt it'll be Real Madrid. I'm sure they can pick it up and be fine. Because they're just class at every position. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, Roma still have to play CSKA, and they have to play each other all one more time. But it'll be interesting to see if it affects anything.
Absolutely. And another loser for this week's Champions League action was Loserpool, a.k.a. Liverpool. They lost the game to Napoli in the 89th minute. They lost the game to Napoli in the 89th minute. A game that they were expected to win because, let's be real, they just beat PSG in an amazing performance. Napoli, a team that they were considered to beat, even though Napoli has been really strong in the Champions League for the last couple seasons. Liverpool played horrendously. The entire game was in Napoli's favor. They could have had plenty of goals. And then Liverpool thought they almost secured a point away from home, which would have been a pretty big result, especially at a Napoli side that is strong at home. In the 89th minute, Insigne gets off the back of a cross, puts it in the back of the net, and Liverpool saw their 3 points go away from them.
Yeah, man. I mean, if they had gone to Napoli and gone away with a point, it would have been considered a win, especially considering how many games and the opposition that Liverpool has been playing in this period of, I want to say, about almost 2 months. They've played Chelsea twice. They've played PSG, Napoli. They now play City on Saturday or Sunday this week. This run for Liverpool has been crazy. So if they had been able to get even a point out of Napoli, it would have been definitely a win for them. But, like you said, they didn't look good. They did not look like they were up for it. Maybe they're getting a little sluggish. Who knows? But you got to give Ancelotti and Napoli credit. Ancelotti is one of these premier coaches in the entire world, and he knows how to get his team set up. Yeah,
you could see the entire game. They were up for it. Players were attacking. They looked like they were out for blood against this Liverpool squad. Liverpool couldn't match their intensity, something that is usually pretty easy for them because they're a team that likes to get all over the field. They're an expansive side, but could not match Napoli's kind of tenacity throughout the game, and Napoli got a good result because of it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things. It's a missed opportunity. They could have taken stranglehold of that group and been clear number one, but fortunately dropped some points away from home. And while not the end of the world, still losers this week.
And the final winner for this week's Champions League action was Ivan Rocket Man Rakitic. I say that because if you saw his goal, what an absolute rocket, firecracker, a crazy kind of ball that went into the box, pinging back and forth between players. It ends up at the 18-yard box. Ivan Rakitic with a freaking volley. Amazing top right corner.
I don't know how to describe it because it's like, is it the goalkeeper's right? Is it our right as the keeper?
I'm going to say top right, and then you can just figure it. An amazing volley, top right corner. And in a game where Messi played to his world-class standards, had 2 goals, had a few shots that went on the post. Incredible that Ivan Rakitic could steal the spotlight.
Yeah, I actually screamed when I saw that goal. I genuinely shrieked like a child because it was the amazing play. A lot of people think that the ball kind of just bounced to him, but what happened was Philippe Coutinho takes it up the wing, shoots it, gets his own rebound. In the air, Philippe Coutinho manages to look backwards towards who's making an on-field run. No one was tracking Rakitic, so Philippe Coutinho saw, at the last possible second, Rakitic running into the box and sent him the pass, and he just, beautifully, I don't know, he couldn't have hit that ball better. It was unstoppable. It was pure class from a player that I've genuinely always thought has been phenomenal for Barcelona.
Yeah, and he's a guy that does not score that many goals, but it seems like every time he does score a goal, it's a highlight reel, top 10 goal. So he has it in him for sure.
I want to add one last micro winner, and I'm going to say all of us who watched that game yesterday, because at first I thought it was a phenomenal game. Barcelona scored first, and then for a period of about 20 minutes, it felt like it was all Tottenham. Tottenham had the pressure on them, and then Barcelona scored a second against the run of play. And so those are the kind of games that make it phenomenal to watch. Because, yes, Spurs were playing phenomenal at some parts of the game, but then Barcelona are Barcelona. So they just, they Barcelona themselves, and there they are. And it just, it was such a phenomenal game overall. So props to all of us. Sorry, Spurs, you lose again. Sorry. So there you have it, guys. Another awesome episode of Trebl's Champions League winners and losers. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with some of our picks? Do you disagree? What are some of your winners and losers? Leave your comments below for us to feature you in our next episode.
And guys, be sure you hit that like button, click subscribe, and once you hit subscribe, go check out our channel. We have a ton of content covering MLS to football and culture. Please go check it out. We would enjoy it, and we'll catch you next episode. Peace.